Hi, welcome to Embedding SDK Playground tutorial. In this video, I'm going to show you an overview of MicroStrategy's Embedding SDK Playground. The screen is divided into 4 areas. On the left is operation menu. So in the operation menu, you can search, you can find the operations that you can use in the code editor. So you can drag the operations to the code editor. You can mouse over to see a quick overview of the functionality of the code block. And also you can click learn more to go to the documentation page. You can expand and unexpand this each group. You can search. If you search, only the filtered result will be shown. On the right, in the middle part is the code editor. This is the complete HTML code, including JavaScript, that generates this preview page. On the bottom is the preview panel. Each panel is resizable. You can expand. You can drag and drop to resize the panel. On the right, it's a log panel. So we have 2 tabs for the log panel. One is the event. So whenever some event happening, you will see some log in the event panel. The other one is a console. So if in your code, you are using a console log, and the console log will be also showing here. So this is handy for you to figure out some of the parameters in the Embedding SDK Playground to write your code. At the bottom is the preview panel. Whatever code you have here, the result will be shown here. So in the code editor, there are a couple of buttons here. You can run the code. If you run the code, the result will be shown in the preview panel. You can copy. If you click copy code, the whole code will be copied into clipboard. You can also clear code. If you clear code, the code editor will be cleared and you can undo. You can also use some of the edit shortcut keys. So you can do Control-C, Control-F. You can use copy paste and you can use Command-Z. You can also reformat if you messed up, right? If you messed up the format, you can click the format button. We will automatically format the code for you. On the top of the navigation bar, you'll see a button that says Start Over. So that's if you never used Embedding SDK before, it could be hard to get started without looking into the documentation. So that's why we create this Start Over. So Start Over make it easier for you to explore some examples. Let's click the button. There are 2 tabs here. So on the left is the examples. So you see a list of examples. We have implemented some of examples. With those examples, you don't need to do anything. You can see the example and you can see the example in action without even write a single line of code. Now, almost all the examples are running using our demo environment. So you don't have to create your own environment to try it. If you do have your own environment, you want to use it, you can go to your Dossier tab and you input your Dossier URL. This is the URL linked to your Dossier. So you can use this URL, put a URL. We will generate the code for you using one of the default template. So let's get started with the simple Dossier example. I'm going to show you walks you through the code we generate in the code editor. We also show you some of the functionalities in. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm going to click the first example. You see some code is generated here. So let me walk you through the code. This is the HTML code, and there are also some JavaScript code. So you can copy, right? Once you finish playing with it, you can copy the code to your actual application and make modifications. So on the top, this is the HTML. On the line number 5 to 7, this includes the JavaScript library, Embedding SDK JavaScript library. On line number 12, this is the placeholder for us to insert the Embedding SDK. So it's a div with ID. So this ID is used in the JavaScript code where we used to create a dossier. So it's used in line number 21 as well. So if you ever change the ID, and make sure you also change the JavaScript code to use the same ID. In line number 14, that's your Dossier URL. So this is the URL for your Dossier. This is used in the configuration. So line number 15, line number 15 to 19, line number, let's see. From line number 19 to line number 108, we create a big chunk of configuration. We intentionally list all the possible configurations for you. So if you want to play with it, you can quickly change some values to see it's working. So in your real application, if your value is the same as the default, you actually don't need to include that. You can use the default. So after the configuration, we leave some code comment block here. So this is for you to drag properties. Some of the operations will change the property of the configuration, and that is required when you if you want to change some property before the Dossier is run, you drag the code here. So we make assumption in the code block. We make assumption we're going to use this configure variable name. So if you change the name of this one, make sure you also need to change the code in the code block after you drag into the editor. And after this is the code to create a Dossier using embedding SDK. So we call embedding SDK Dossier.create. With this configuration, it will create a Dossier object. So with this Dossier object, you can do manipulations, right? You can use some of the code operations here, right? You can drag the operations here after Dossier is created. And so the code block here, if you have a code block requires the Dossier instance, then you need to drag after the Dossier is created. Okay, so after this is run the code. Let's go ahead, change something in the code editor. So let's see if we want to hide all the navigation bar. So let's go to the you can also you can drag a property. So you can go to the properties and look for navigation bar layout. Let's see if I want to change the navigation bar. So if I drag navigation bar layout here, it shows you the navigation bar configurations. So I can quickly change this to false. If I want to override this, right, I can change this to false and remove everything else, since we already have that configuration in the configuration object. So let's try to make the navigation bar disappear. So run this, use shortcut key Command S on Mac, or run button, or Control S on Windows. You see, navigation bar is gone. So if you don't want to do this way, right, you can also directly change the code. So let's go ahead, directly find the configuration for navigation bar. So here, so I can also change this to false. It will hide the navigation bar as well. Let's look at the log. So let me clear the log. And if I'm going to run this, if I run this again, okay. So you see, in the console, we automatically log all the event listener names. In the console, you can see there are 17 events you can use. There are 17 events you can use to register event listener. So on the event panel, so whenever you do something in your Dossier, it will, if there's anything sent to the embedding SDK, so you will receive some log here. So we automatically log the issue and make it automatically log the event, make it easier for you to play with the SDK. So let's do some page navigation. I'm going to navigate to a second page. You see, you will receive a page switch event, right, with the key, so which is the page key. This is the page key. If you want to use the page key, you can use this ID. You also receive the page load event since this page is loaded first time. So you will see the page load event. You also receive the on-realization element change event. So it looks like this page triggers the realization change. So you see the sum of the element showing on the realization. So you can use this to help you to figure out all the parameters you need to use in your code. If you ever log anything into a console, let's see if I want to dump all the page structure into the console. So I can go to the page navigation, right? I can go to the navigation and get a table of content. Let's see if I can drag this into my code block. So this is after Dossier is created, and I'm going to call Dossier.table content, and I got a table of content object. I'm going to dump this table of content object to the log. Let's see if I run this. So in the console log, you see a get page table of content log. There are four elements in this array. So let's see. So first is the summary. Let me also show the page of content on the preview, so you will see whether this is the same. Let me go to the navigation bar, and I'm going to I'm going to open the doc navigation. So let's see, let me find the doc TOC. So I'm going to doc on the left, and I'm going to make this cannot be closed, and also it's docked. So let's run this. All right, so you see the navigation bar shows, and there are actually 4 chapters, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. So in the table of content tree, you see 4 elements. The first is the chapter 1, the first chapter summary. There's a key ID, and in this chapter, there are 2 pages. So you see, if you ever want to build your own page navigation outside embedded Dossier, you can use this information. So there's a lot of other information you can try. And this is just a quick overview, and feel free to try some other examples. And thank you.